So what do graphic novels look like? So I put together a series of some panels from each of these books that we've talked about here just briefly. So this is A Contract with God, Will Eisner. This is Mouse. Here we're literally seeing a Jewish man trying to escape on a train by wearing a pig mask, so he appears to be Polish to the Polish guards. Here's The Dark Knight Returns. So this is Batman. One of the things that's interesting here, and we'll talk about a little bit later, is the shape of panels. And you can see here on the left-hand side in the middle panels that are shaped like television sets were in the 1980s. This is an attempt to show us here what's going on in the television. And you'll notice perhaps the character who's wearing the hazmat suit, which is former President Ronald Reagan. These stories are absolutely products of the Cold War, and both concern ongoing nuclear tensions with Russia. Here's Watchmen by Alan Moore. Very similar thematically. Superheroes trying to quell civil unrest. This is the series that has spawned the Watchmen series on HBO that has received amazing acclaim and attention. It's quite wonderful if you have a chance to check it out. Damon Lindelof put it together. I noted that there was one additional graphic novel that I put in here, and this is it, Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. Dave McKean has made a name for himself as an illustrator, and I bring his work to your attention here to show that there were artists who were really exploring different ways of creating visual impact, right? So something that looks a lot less like a traditional comic book, he would use collage techniques. He paints. It just doesn't look like what a typical comic book looked like at the time. It's a lot more popular now. You can see here it's sort of a collage approach, using three-dimensional objects that he then photographed over the tops of his paintings. He was also known for the Sandman series with Neil Gaiman. Here's Persepolis. Here's two really good examples of different types of storytelling of Persepolis. On the left, we have a story of a figure drawing class during the Islamic Revolution, when the women were not allowed to show any skin other than their faces, and the students trying to figure out how to cope with that. And on the right-hand side, there's a rather brutal account of torture during the regime. And this is American Born Chinese. Again, there's three very different stories that collide, including one retelling of a 16th century legend. This character here that appears as a monkey is part of that retelling. And then on the right, you can sort of see the worlds colliding. And this is March. All right, let's talk a little bit about the vocabulary. A panel is a general visual indicator that time or space is being divided, right? So this is essentially the windows through which we view the story. The gutter is the empty space in between the panels. And when we talk about lettering, we're talking about any of the language that's being communicated to us other than the visual language. Although you'll note here that there's lots of variety in the visual style that can communicate different types of verbal communication, or even that we're hearing thoughts and sort of voiceover.